All right. Hey, welcome to the Table Network podcast. Long overdue reboot. Excited to be able to continue the conversations that we start around the table each and every month and dig a little deeper with some friends. Today, I've got Coach Jamie. And this might be a weird, I meant to clarify this before we got on the call. I don't know how to say your last name. And I would say that we're friends.
Been friends for over 2 years and don't even.
I've never been forced to say it.
Charlotte.
Just Charlotte. No, Shiarla.
Nope. I always joke and I tell people I'm the Jamie with no eyes because they always try to put an I in Jamie, but then it's silently in Charla. So just
we dropped the I in Charlotte.
Well, now we really are friends.
The world knows we are officially we've accelerated to level 2. Zach.
There we go.
My name you could just sound out.
Cherry. We're here with David Cherry. So let's start. Jamie, what do you coach?
So I'm an executive wellness coach and NLP practitioner. And so I get to work with high performers where, like, yes, your work ethic is there, but just emotionally and relationally, you're lacking in the fulfillment department. And so I get to come in and train the brain and rewire some things and help motivate the goals from a better place than maybe they're used to functioning at.
Love it. And David, you're the
friendship guy, self-titled friendship guy. Yes.
Well, no. At the Table Network, somebody else called you out for it.
Yeah.
And so you've earned that title. How do you earn the moniker, the friendship guy?
Honestly, it's just digging into friendship. And I can tell you about that story for sure. But I don't know if now's the time or not. But
let's do it. Today, we want to press into this idea of friendships and relationships. We all need a little more friends. Leadership can be lonely. And so we got to start the conversation at the Table Network, but just realized it needed more time and space. And so let's maybe, David, start by how you earned that title. Yeah. And then let's press into this idea of why are friendships important?
Well, I'll just say this. I know friendships are important. One reason is I had an addiction years ago in full-time ministry and had this addiction that I thought was a secret. And it wasn't until someone stepped into the middle of my mess that everything shifted for me. And because I was really able to bring this thing that I thought was hidden, but it was in the dark, and brought it into the light. And then we were able to do something with it. And so there was something to having a friend that will step into the middle of your mess and even confront you, but confronting me out of love and not out of condemnation or shame or anything like that, but it was out of genuine love for me. And so I went through recovery and lots of therapy and recovery. And then as I looked back on that season, that's 20 years in full-time ministry with this addiction, I had no close friend. I didn't have anybody. I had friends, but I didn't have anybody that knew me. And then there was a season in my life where I was without a job, just feeling really depressed. And then I had a friend who called me and said, "Hey, let's go to breakfast." And so we went to breakfast, and he took me to breakfast because he was in the same position that I was a year earlier, and someone took him to breakfast. And so I just got to share with him where I was, and he just spoke encouragement to me. And we've been doing that every Saturday now for 12 years. Then starting 2025, I set some relational goals, and which I had never done before. I never really had any relational goals. And one of my goals was to have a lot more one-on-ones with people. And as I started doing that, just this idea of friendship and the need for friends, and there's so many benefits to having a good friend. And so I just started realizing that in my life, just like these, oh my gosh, this is really, and Jamie, I love how you talk, you're working with people and helping them find fulfillment. I really think that's one of the benefits of friends. There's such fulfillment in that. And so I just started really digging into this idea of friendship, doing lots of studies, and then probably have no less than 6 one-on-ones a week. I've had 2 today already. And I just love building relationships and encouraging and challenging people to find others that they can have and develop those kind of relationships with.
Jamie, was that man's best friend in the background? We get a little guest.
Sure is. Yeah, you can hear I'm dog sitting, so they're off. They always wait till a Zoom call comes on and they're like, now would be the best time to play. And this one is slopping in the water dish right in the kitchen next to me. So there's that.
It is all good. They're welcome on the call as well. What a great example of friendship they are.
Absolutely.
Well, David, I think that story is like most people's story.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Zach that I present, and I think back on a book by Donald Miller called Scary Close, which is walking me through this journey of vulnerability, which I still completely suck at. I've got all these socially acceptable masks that I put on. I want to be the funny guy or the helpful guy, or maybe even the surface level friendly guy, which keeps me from having to bare my soul and go deep. And so I find myself connected to a lot of people, but not going deep with a lot of people, where I'm surrounded by people and then completely lonely, and where I don't have anyone, I think you would call it a level 3 friend, where they're really getting in my mess. They know the good, the bad, and the ugly of Zach.
Well, let me just say that you don't need to let everybody know your mess, right? But there does need to be one person, maybe 2, maybe even 3, probably not more than 3. You don't need to be letting everybody know your mess. But I tell you what, I'm married, and my wife knows that I meet with Marty, is his name. I meet with Marty on Saturday mornings, and she loves that. She values that. And Marty's wife values that as well. And so if I have an issue with my wife, I'm talking about it with Marty. I'm not talking about it with anybody else. I'm just talking about it with Marty. And because I know he's for me, and she knows that too. So I think that we can all get on this mission to find that level 3 friend, but we don't need a bunch of level 3 friends for sure.
Just to kind of chime in, because there's a lot of similarities, just even with that brief story that you already shared. That very much has always been me. Even as a female, I was always like, I'm a beast, and beasts don't cry, because crying meant weakness. And so I was always the strong friend for everybody else. But because I was the one pouring in and being there to support everybody else, it was, if I show my vulnerability, now either one, my baggage, and you're going to use it against me in the future, or now you're going to stop needing me because you realize how big of a problem I have. And so you don't want to burden me. And then now I'm still just left alone with that. And so I got an underage when I was 17, and I remember I had to take drug and alcohol classes. And of course, at the time I was just like, this is stupid. But as I got older, I realized how accurate the woman was, our facilitator. She goes, I want you to think about your friendships. And she's like, pull alcohol out of the equation, and how good of friends are you? And I was like, oof, we're not, because if alcohol isn't in the picture, we don't hang out. We don't know how to be sober around one another. And so it's like genuinely finding those people that you're willing to share your mess with. That's really scary. And I had mastered seeping out vulnerability in little pockets to people when I was connecting with them, because I knew it was inspiring them. So in a brief moment, I was getting a high of connection, but then I would go home and then I would be super lonely and just breaking, because I'm like, nobody sees me, nobody understands me. But I wasn't willing to put myself out there to truly let somebody sit in the mud with me. And I think that that was one of the powerful takeaways from the book of Job, is when everything happened to Job, it even says before any of them finally spoke up, they just sat there with him while he mourned. And sometimes even just having people who will sit in the mud with you is the first entry point of creating that connection to know and trust that they will be with you through the hard times in the future, so you can give that part of yourself to them.
Jamie, you mentioned several things in there. One is the risk, and there is a risk, and not going to pretend that there's not a risk. Marty knows so much about me, he could do me in. So there is a risk. But then you also mentioned about leaking vulnerability to people. And now that I think that is one way. And we mentioned level 3 friends. We didn't really talk about what that is, but level 3 friend, I think in order to develop a level 3 friend, you have to have some level 2 friends. And I think we all have some level 2 friends. And I think sharing some vulnerability with someone, and with the idea of how are they going to handle it? I'm going to put a piece of my soul up here on the table.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to it? Are you going to pretend like it? Are you just going to ignore it, pretend like it's not even there? Are you going to defend it? Are you going to try to fix it? Are you going to lean in and Tell me more. How is the recipient of that? How are they going to handle it? And if they lean in and say, tell me more, and you feel like, man, they're with me, I feel like we're locking arms right now, then it's like, I want to meet again with them. I think that this is a good candidate for a level 3 friend. This is someone that maybe I can feel safe with.
Yeah.
Still a risk. There's always going to be a risk. But I think the reward, the fulfillment, the joy, potential that it brings is so, and really the health that it brings to you. And there's so many benefits. I think about just having someone like Marty, for example. He's had a bad week at work or a really bad day at work, and he's like, dude, I'm coming over. And so he comes over and we sit out on the back deck and he just vomits all over me. And I'm not fixing anything. I'm not in a place to fix anything. But because I'm able to help him process his emotion just by being there, he feels so much better. And now he can go and face tomorrow with a new vigor. And man, that's just what a good friend will do.
Yeah, something just to knowing that you have a place to go, that you're not doing it alone, that you can process externally without having it all figured out. He's just able to show up with where he's at right now. I think that's freeing, and it gets it out of your mind and off your shoulders. And that space is really important. Now, David, so level 1, level 2, level 3, is there a number to each level that you can recommend or guide people on?
Quantity?
Yeah. In prepping, they said everybody has about 500 connections, faces and names that if we just were forced to write it all out, we could probably think of somewhere around 500. It feels like a lot to me. I've got 1,700 Facebook friends. I still don't know if I could write out 500 people. But
did you get your 2 friend requests yet from Thursday? That way you can be tied with Alexis?
I'm pretty sure they're bots, but I'll take what I can get at this point. So 1,700, are those level 1? Does it require a deeper level of connection to even get to that starting place? What does level 2 look like? And
when I talk about this, I talk about a level 1, which we call acquaintances. You might know each other's names. You probably don't know much more about each other. Then there's a level 2, and I call this the broad spectrum of friends. And so I don't know, there's a Black Mirror episode, and I don't remember exactly which one it is, but people are walking around with these numbers above their heads. You get to a certain level or something. It's like, yeah, that's not really what it's like. We're ranking our friends, right? But the truth is yeah, I have like a 2.1 to a 2.9 level friend. And that's where what we call our casual friends or even our good friends, they're in that spectrum, the level 2 friends. We have a level 3 friend is someone that knows you and that you're known by. You know them and meet frequently, at least once a month and face to face. And then I say you even have a level 0 friend. And a level 0 friend might be those Facebook friends that I don't even know who you are. Yeah. They could be standing in front of you and you have no idea who they are. Those are level 0 friends. I have I someone that's famous that I had dinner with one night, me and 50 other people, and I got my picture taken with him. And so I like, hey, here's my friend so and so. He's not going to know me from anybody.
Like
a level 0 friend.
Okay.
Say it again.
I was like at 0.7.
Yeah, not even. Yeah,
I got like a couple decimal points.
Yeah, level 0 friend. So, yeah, level 1 friend. I mean, people may have hundreds acquaintances. Some people may have dozens. Then level 2 friends, those are probably people may have 12. Others may have 50. And because these are people that you maybe know, again, it's a spectrum. So you're people at work and you go out to drinks afterwards, or another friend that you have dinner with occasionally. It might even be somebody you take a vacation with. Obviously, that's on a scale there. But then I think whenever it comes to level 3 friends, it's 1 to 3.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
of course.
Just because in similar ways, we kind of along like the same type of coaching areas, I guess, if you will. A lot of the people that I work with are high performers where that's exactly what it is like the brash way I put it is they're financially successful, but they're emotionally and relationally bankrupt. And so it's like they're doing life alone. Even when they come home to the house, they don't know the people they cohabitate with, and they don't have anybody that they would consider friends. And so it's teaching them how to, one, prioritize that, and how to start, vulnerable, communicating needs, asking for help, all of that. But the question that I have, part of this is because this is very much somebody that I used to be when I was very much on that prideful horse and taking care of everybody else. Like, do teach people like how to be a level 3 friend? Because I feel like I attended a women's conference at our church, and especially as adults, it's really hard to make friends. Like, we were 5 and you're like, hey, we're on the playground. You're dirty. I'm dirty. Let's be friends. And then like ride or dies all throughout elementary. As an adult, it's not the same. And so one thing that was really cool that they had said on the panel is 2 gals that both happen to serve on staff. And one of them is the wife of the pastor, and the other one was engaged to one of the other staff members. But the 2 women did not ever actually hang out. And they sat down and had a conversation. And the one woman was like, hey, I want you to be my bridesmaid. And the girl's like, never even talked. What do you mean? And she goes, well, first of all, our husbands, or my soon-to-be husband, your husband, are super close. I value who you are as a person, and I would like to be super intentional on developing a friendship with you and getting to do life with you. So she, like, in this conversation that, like, right now we're not, but if you are open to it, I would really like to invest in developing a deep friendship with you. So all that to say, I'm just curious, like, you bump into or how you navigate that, because I feel like everybody knows that they want that, but I think it's also important for somebody to be that, to also get to receive that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think you started off by asking the question if there was teach people how to get that level 3 friend. And the answer is yes. And it a course, friendship project, with six modules, and in each one I go through curiosity. How do you even initiate that first conversation with somebody?
Yeah.
And again, all along the ways, you're kind of like, how do they respond to that? So we talk about barriers. We talk about some of the risk and the vulnerability. Talk about it all, and they're very conversational. I think about, all heard this, like, lonely at the top, and it is. And I had a mentor upon a time that was the president and CEO of a business that everybody would know, and he actually took me under his wings when I was young, married, and just a salt of the earth kind of person. I loved this guy. And in the community, in the church, in the business world, and had everything, and then ended up taking his own life, and it devastated me. And went years without thinking about this. And since I've been looking at this 3 friends, I'm like, you've got to have somebody that you can talk to, someone that you can be real with, somebody that's going to be with you. I think about the 3 levels of friends. I imagine, like friend I'm just talking about, 12 feet down in a pit, mud up to his knees, and desperately wanting to get out of this pit. Your level 1 friend is going to come walking alongside and say, hey, David, you can make it. You can get out of there. You got what it takes. Come on, man, you can do it. And it doesn't even break stride, just keeps walking. Level 1 friend. A level 2 friend might come walking and see you down there. Hey, David, you got what it takes. You can do it. Hey, you need a sandwich? I'll toss you a sandwich. You need a rope? I'll toss you a rope even. And I'll check on you tomorrow. Great. That's super nice. And the level 3 friend is going to come along and stop and say, hey, clear my calendar, clear my schedule. I'm coming down. I'm getting muddy. I'm going to lock arms with you, and I'm going to get down in here with you, and we're going to come out of this together.
I love that.
And that's a level 3 friend. And I just think man, if my friend had that, then he would still be with us today. That's what I believe. And so that's why I'm on a mission to see to it that we all have at least one level 3 friend preferably 3. I could save our lives. At the very least, it's going to make our lives much more fulfilling. And I'm kind of desperate about it.
Yeah.
Just pausing on that, because I think that's a really, really powerful image. And I think that definitely found myself in the hole, and I'm like, where is everybody? I think that a lot of people are in that place where they just feel lonely.
I think we're surprised often about who actually feels lonely, right? Because it's like, oh man, you've got it all together. Look at all these friends you have. Look at all of that. And it's like, yeah, but I go home at night and I have a spouse, but I am still feel all alone. Like, that's me. Nobody knows what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And that's right. Nobody does know, because you're not working towards that.
Yeah. With anybody, or
taking the risk.
That's where I was going to say, that's where I also wanted to challenge it, which is why I kind of was like, in addition to asking that, is like, do you teach people how to also be a level 3 friend? Because again, when it's lonely at the top, it's that you have created this habit. I think the intentions are good, but you become so busy that even checking in on people or helping people now becomes a task. So you're not allowing yourself to truly be there for them either, which is also why it's so lonely. Like, I have like words that I use. Like, all of my closest people know this, like, me is like 1 to 10, where's your headspace? Like, absolutely awesome. 1, check me into a psych ward. Like, also to be like, let me see where you're at. But also, before I dump all of my junk on you, I want to make sure that you're not also sitting in that, because we may not be the best people to navigate that together.
So
and then from there, it's a lot of times it's just like, hey, checking in on you. How are you? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right? We all know fine is never an appropriate answer, but it's like people who are willing to go the extra mile. And so it's like, I always like to encourage is like strong people out there, because this is something where I had to have an honest conversation with myself, that when there was moments that I was completely drowning and I'm like, where is everybody? Shocker. I did all this stuff for everyone else and no one's here to help me. It's because nobody knew. I put up this front that everything was okay all the time. And so I never gave them a reason to think that they could do anything to help. And so it's just like, yeah, I know how to do is encourage you, because I've never seen you this way before. So, need you. Even just this phrase keeps coming up. I used to be a facilitator for grieving kids due to death of a loved one. And the phrase that was used very often in that is, when the casseroles go away. So when you have a loved one that passed away and everyone's like, what do you need? And everybody is giving sandwiches, right? They're sending over casseroles to make sure you're fed. But you're the person who just lost someone, like, you're still functioning out of adrenaline of trying to process what happened. But who are those people? Like, are you one of those people checking in on those friends after the casseroles go away? I have a friend of mine, I'm not even that close with her, but I have a reminder that bare minimum, I need to send a message to her every single month just to check in and see how she's doing. I made her that promise. Casseroles are gone. I am not anything you need. I'm here. So
I love that. Way to go. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm mainly saying that to anybody who potentially is listening, that like, surprising, but it's not, because statistics show that we are experiencing a loneliness epidemic. But even in that, everybody still gets trapped in their own way of thinking. Yeah, mine is different, but mine is extra lonely because you don't know my story. And so what I want to kind of up on whoever is listening is that, like, you still do have to take that risk and be willing to give someone an opportunity to try to be there for you, because you're hurting regardless. So if they kind of down, like, we're losing beforehand anyways, at least put it out there and have a chance for somebody to rise to the occasion and support you.
We all have a story. I think that the leading barriers to developing, kind of called move the needle on our friendships, is time. I'm all so busy, and then I might ask, "Are you really?"
People make time for the things they want to make time for.
Like I, for example, we have breakfast. We are at breakfast at 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And so usually what I'm doing, I'm driving to his house. I'm getting to his house at 7:30, and then we're driving to breakfast together. So we get even the car time together. And as we got breakfast, we're talking over breakfast, we're talking on the drive back, and then I go home. By the time I get home, my wife is still sitting in her chair, having her quiet time. His girls are just waking up. I've already done this. And so we're not really taking away from our family time, we're doing it before the family is up and going. And so it's just like, and we've prioritized that. We understand the value of friendship.
Yes.
And so I'm just one of the barriers. I'm a number of other barriers. And might just share this too, just in one of the ways that this is, I call it my Monday morning messaging ministry. And I lead a faith community. And not everybody knows this, but sometimes Mondays are really hard for pastors. And
Like a spiritual hangover from Sundays.
Well, yeah, are people missing? We get a good offering. Did I get lots of comments about the message? Just as there's many things. On a Monday morning, I was really discouraged and feeling sorry for myself. Honestly, I'm just sitting there feeling sorry for myself. And I thought of another pastor friend of mine. So I took my phone and I just sent him a message and an encouraging word. And I think I might have even included a scripture or something and sent it to him. And then I thought of somebody else. And so I just kind of got that message and I'm getting my secret here, copied that message and plugged in a different name and sent it to another guy. And before I know, I sent it to like people. And something that happened in me as I was doing that. But what happened was I would get a response back. Like, you have no idea how timely that encouragement was. I needed that so much. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting encouraged. And so that's really how this started. And then I started sending it not just to pastor. Now I'm sending a message to other people. I'm actually going through my address book and I'll send a message to them. And what I might do, I'm interested in connecting with them. I might say, I'd love to connect. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just saying, hey, I'm giving you an encouraging word and love to connect sometime. Mm-hmm. And so people would say, yeah, I'd love to connect. Let's do that. And so, okay, let's have coffee. And I always say coffee because, if it doesn't go great, then it can be half an hour and then you're out. If it goes great, okay, half-hour coffee turned into an hour and a half. And because it went so good, let's schedule it again. Mm-hmm. Let's do another one in weeks or something, or next month, whatever. So that's really how it gets going.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's easy to start. You can ease out into it. And then just think with you, like talking about leading with curiosity, you can see where it goes, see where the relationship develops. Yeah, so I'm thinking, how do I practically apply this? Like around my life and see where my relationships are. Have an awareness for what is engaging in my life and what doors are opening and what coffees are life-giving and leading to more coffees. Maybe that's where I should redirect some of my time and my energy.
Right. Yeah. Good.
What are some other practicals to exploring this friendship thing? I know for me, one of the challenges is being intentional, but probably not being overly intentional. Like, not everybody has to be a level 3 friend. Not everything has to be moving to somewhere. Like being able to be present with where the relationship's at.
Can I go first since you're the expert?
Please.
Okay. Now you can give the bigger nuggets. I think kind of going back to the whole leading with curiosity thing, I think it's stop putting so much expectation on what it is, because then I think that's where the relationship could turn very conditional, where we almost create this scoreboard in our head where it's like, well, the last 4 times I'm the one that reached out for you to grab coffee and you don't ever reach out to me to ask me for coffee. I'm the one always checking in on you, or like, when didn't you show up for me with that? Like, you didn't hear from me, so you didn't think it was like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like we create this scoreboard in our head if we start putting so much pressure on it and building our own expectation of what that relationship is supposed to be, rather than just genuinely let it connect. Because I honestly, like, I mean to pull business into this, but I feel like the most successful business relationships I've ever had were the ones that I didn't put a specific expectation on. Mm-hmm. The people that I never thought that I would be closest with are the people I'm the closest with, because it just naturally happened without expecting it to be a certain thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Pro, take it from here.
That's really good. I love the leading with curiosity. I usually follow that with instead of judgment. And because you guys know, we live in a world that is very divided these days. And there's no shortage of things to divide us. And it feels like find things to strengthen the divide. And that really breaks my heart. think about the words of Jesus, a Jesus follower, he said, John 13:34, love one another. He's talking to his followers. He's talking to his disciples. He says, love one another as I have loved you. But I love verse 35. He says, this is how the world, this is how everyone outside of the church is going to know that you are a follower of Jesus, is how you're loving one another. And I'll just be real honest with you. I'll just say this. I want to love others well. I want to be known for how well I'm loving others. Jamie, I really can appreciate thought about one that's always reaching out to people and nobody reaching back out to me. And it feels like a little bit of an injustice, right? But I think that, and I think we're talking to leaders here. As a leader, that's what you do. You lead the way. And the world is full of risk. The world is full of unfairness. You lead the way and love others well and be the one that reaches out. I want people to say, if someone ever says something negative about me, like, man, David, he's just like, I want whoever it is that they're talking to know that it's not true. Now, it might be, but because I'm not perfect, but don't want to be known for that. I want to be known that, man, I is really good at loving people. And he shows up with curiosity instead of judgment. It's like, we don't align on our ideology, but I want to hear your story. How did you arrive at that? Tell me your story, because everyone has a story. And there's a reason people believe the way they believe. If we just pressed pause and said, tell me your story. I have a great example of this. Can I share this?
Yeah.
We have a leased space for our church. And our church was there before my wife and I got there to lead it. The church was there already like 6 years or something. And there was this adversarial relationship with the property manager and the owner. And like, ever asked for anything, the answer was no. And just no, but you know what I mean? It was an adversarial relationship. And so we were looking for another place to move to, but we couldn't find anything that was the size that we wanted for the price that we wanted to pay. And so I told our board, I said, well, let me just get with the property manager and see if he'll extend our lease for a year while we continue to look. And who knows what he'll do? He may jack the price way up, may tell us to get out this weekend, or knows. I called him. He's visiting his family in another state. And so we arranged for when he gets back for us to meet. And so we meet in our lobby, and I asked him about his time over with his family and asked him about them. And then I said, man, tell me your story. And he had been burned by the church. And I'm $50 worth of burned. And even there were 2 churches in the space that we're in before us, and they did him wrong. And the name of our church is Restoration, which I love. But I told him, I said, man, I think I even touched his hand, which might have been a little creepy. I don't know. But I did. My heart went out to him. And I just touched his hand. I said, man, it's called in his name. And I said, if I had your story, I would feel exactly the same way. I'm so sorry that happened. Yeah. I said, but there's a reason we're called Restoration. We're going to restore this relationship. And I tell you what, ever since then, in fact, we were able to stay there. Our rent went up $100, and we just signed another 5-year lease. Our rent went up $100, and he likes by every once in a while, and we'll just chat. We'll just talk, and it's just amazing. If we wanted the building pressure washed, next thing I know, he's got people out there pressure washing the building. I was like, favor. And it's because I stopped and listened to his story, got to know his story, and then showed some empathy. And he's a friend now. I text him. He's one of the guys that I text him every month. Hey, man, thinking about you, praying for you. Hope you have a great day. Just letting somebody know that you're thinking about him goes a long ways, I think.
Yeah. Doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, just to get a little encouraging text. I get
so true.
Automated text from Gary Vaynerchuk. It lifts my spirits. I know I'm one of 20 million that are receiving this text, but still, it's special. We all want to be seen. We all want to be known, heard, and valued. And you created the space for that in this guy's life, and
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of different ways that you really can't anticipate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a success story there. That's
and that's how you became the friendship guy.
yeah, and brands now. Yeah,
One at a time. Very cool.
that's
Well,
right.
and
Yeah,
there you the monetary benefits of having friends also.
yeah. Our didn't go up much.
I mean, $100 over 5 years in Austin is kind
Yeah.
of crazy.
Oh, it's yeah, really.
There's a grace in that relationship. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for creating space. David, you are the friendship guy. So if I want to take an audit of the friendships that I have, or go deeper in the relationships that I currently have, or if I just need somebody to call, how can you help us with that?
Well, I do have, like I mentioned earlier, the course. So I have a 6-week course that we're doing, and we're starting one again on, I wrote it down somewhere, October 14th. And so that's a Tuesday. And we're going to do it every week for 1 hour. It's over the lunch hour from noon to 1. And so that lasts 6 weeks. And we go through 6 different, it'll be interactive, it'll be a group. So I think I like group idea because we learn from one another and we have ideas, and then who knows, you might even find your next best friend in that group.
You might
So
find your level 3ers.
yeah, that's right. And I mean, that's everyone has at least one level 3 friend, but that's the goal. But really, the idea is we're identifying as we look at our friends. Maybe it's acquaintances, maybe it is casual friends. Who do we want to level up that friendship with? Who do we want to move the needle with? Let's identify maybe 2, 5 of them, and then start with a coffee or something. And so yeah, I think we're going to do the group sessions starting on October 14th. It would be a great way. I do on this as well, but I think that the group is what I really want to encourage people to be a part of.
And then on the back end, I mean, big fan of Working Genius. You're a coach of that as well. That's, relationships and how do all these things work together in a work setting. So you can help us in both our personal and professional lives.
Well, what's so interesting, and I think we maybe mentioned this at the top a podcast here is whenever, maybe we didn't, when we have friends, we actually become better employees. And like I mentioned, he had a day at work and he comes over and talks to me and, and process his emotion. And I'm not really doing anything. I'm just listening. But he's just get it all out. So he goes back to work tomorrow and he feels much better. He's not going in there with all this venom and, this anger. So I think having friendships absolutely is good for business. But yeah, then we could do Working Genius too, and then we can get all of your team members to really thrive. Jamie, what they said Working Genius is, it's how work gets done with joy, energy, and fulfillment.
Let's go. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it, Jamie.
So I love doing those Working Genius workshops as well with teams.
Jamie, any final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you, David. I know I said this like a gajillion times for having you be on like one of our The Table Network, but just thank you for spreading and just also sharing your vulnerability just so openly on this. Because it's hard. Like everybody knows this and feels this, but to be able to articulate it or feel safe enough to do so is another thing. And so I just think you have such a beautiful way of communicating that and creating that safety to have a conversation. So I mean, it's amazing that this is like near and dear to your heart that you're going and wanting to do. Cause it's like, they're like, how do you world? You start within your household. Like when we start better, we start treating people better because we've also started treating ourselves better and we aren't meant to do this life alone. So
yeah, so true.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Thank you, Jamie.
I guess, yeah. And then the next thing would just be Next Table Network, right? I guess that's the only thing we would probably mention.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's October 16th.
Yes.
Third Thursday. Awesome. We'll gather back around the table with all of our best friends.
Yeah, that's right.
And continue to chop it up